What's good? It's the champ Antonio Tarver. You're listening to Tarver's Take, the most informative take in boxing. Just remember where you heard it first. Last couple of weeks, man, we've had a slow couple of weeks when it comes down to big time boxing, but it heats up real fast in June, man. We got June 7th live from New York, which I believe New York is slowly but surely becoming the mecca of boxing once again, man. There's a lot of shows taking place in New York City. It's Keyshawn Davis, man, the WBO Lightweight World Champion. In his first defense, he goes back home, homecoming with all of his brothers, DB3, the Davis brothers, man. They put on in their showcase on ESPN. He's coming in against a very tough fighter, man, that had a long layoff, though. Edwin De La Santos, where you been? You feel me? We saw him against Joseph Adorno, and he had a great win against Jose Venezuela, a knockout win, which he looked very impressive. If that Edwin De La Santos shows up, man, then we're going to have ourselves a real good fight in which I believe Keyshawn Davis going to have to get in his bag, go deep in his bag to get rid of a guy like Edwin De La Santos, who's been in there with the likes of Shakur Stevenson. You know what I mean? Had a great fight against Joseph Adorno, and that Venezuela fight really got my attention, man. The power that he showed, the counter punching and the timing that he showed against Venezuela, man, was high tech, and if he can bring that type of energy, even though he's had a long layoff, I don't think he's been in the ring since 2023, and he's coming in, man, challenging one of the hottest fighters in the game today. When you look at his potential and his talent and skill set, I think it's off the chart when you look at Keyshawn Davis, man, and it's the energy that he brings. And that's what I believe separates him from the rest. It's that type of energy that only a few really dialed in on, you know what I'm saying, tapped into. You know what I mean? I could think of a guy like Crawford has showed and displayed that type of energy throughout his career. You know what I mean? And I'm looking at Keyshawn Davis and the way he go about his business. I'm kind of seeing some of the same intangibles of Terrence Bud Crawford, man. This kid gets you hurt, he going to get you out of there. He's coming into, he ain't playing no games. You know what I mean? This kid trying to get you out of there. He trying to hurt you. And that's the business of boxing. And he does that professionally, man. And he does it better than most. You know what I mean? When you look at it from an entertainment factor, he's a showman. This guy know how to put on. He know how to, perform under those lights. You know what I mean? Keyshawn Davis coming from Norfolk, Virginia, man. We know Norfolk breeded another legendary fighter, and Sweet Pea Purnell Whitaker. Rest his soul, rest in peace. The legendary GOAT, Sweet Pea Whitaker, one of the best southpaw fighters of all time. Defensive fighters as well. You know what I mean? So here's a guy putting Norfolk, Virginia back on the map. You feel me? And like I said before, he's coming in. He's only 13-0 with 9 knockouts. That's really on the fast track. Not in today's game, but, say 10 years ago, you wouldn't see a fighter 13-0. Very rarely would you see a fighter 13-0 with 9 knockouts and is a world champion. Back in the day, 20 years ago, you had to have at least 25. You had to be proven. You understand? Not saying that he hasn't proven himself, but this early in the game is very rare that you find yourself with a belt. And then, competing, with some of the best names in the game when you look at the other champions in that weight class. You know what I mean? And this is what we have to look forward to, once Keyshawn Davis, which I believe he's going to win this fight against Edwin De La Santos, because a lot of that time away, and hasn't been active, it really stunts those guys, growth. You know what I mean? It really does. And when you look at Keyshawn Davis, the activity that he's been having, man, you got to take your hat off to Top Rank. I think they've really learned from the past and really, have Keyshawn Davis right where he want, man, moving up, and getting that visibility that he desired to be, come one of the best fighters in the world. I think he's gonna have an opportunity to really showcase his innate talent and ability, man. I think one of the best performers out there today. When you look at, from the entertainment factor, like I mentioned earlier, he's doing it and he's doing it well. You know what I mean? If he's fortunate enough to win and look impressive winning, all of us as boxing fans, all we can do is hope and pray that, we can one day see an undisputed, once again, lightweight champion. When you look at the champions in this division, Keyshawn Davis, the WBO champion, Vasily Lomachenko has been on a hiatus, IBF champion. We really don't know where his heart and mind at, if it's still in the boxing or if he's moving on with his career. We don't know. We're still waiting to hear some words from Vasily Lomachenko, still one of the best lightweights in the world today, the IBF champion. The WBA champion, Gervonta Davis, got his hands full in the rematch coming up, man, with Lamont Roach. That's going to be a hell of a fight. Gervonta Davis going to have to tighten up some things, get back to that square, you know what I mean, when he was one of the most dominant fighters in the game, knockout artist. He got to get back to that, you know what I mean, if he wants to defeat Lamont Roach, because Lamont Roach right now, man, is confident, bro. You know what I mean? That fight really gave him a lot of confidence, and we don't know, what Lamont Roach is going to show up in this rematch. You know what I mean? But I can say that I believe he's going to come in prepared, ready, physically and mentally, ready to once again shock the world by upsetting Gervonta Davis, man. But if Gervonta Davis can turn the tide, man, he get the momentum back. He gets the momentum back on his side, and once again, we're talking about pound for pound type of talent and ability moving on, man. And hopefully, we can see the likes of Shakur Stevenson in there with one of these guys, man, sooner than later. We know Keyshawn Davis and him are like best friends. They buds and they bros. That fight may never happen. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate, you know what I mean? Because I know that would be a hell of a fight between these two talented champions, you know what I'm saying? But when you go on record saying, oh, we buddies and we bros and, we ain't going to never fight, that kind of like really knocks a lot of steam off the division. You feel me? Because we could be really anticipating these great talents getting together, but when they come out and say they're not fighting, it just puts a damper on the division, because we can just eliminate the two champions that could possibly face off for undisputed one day. But, that's just me. You know what I mean? And I mentioned the three brothers, man, they got some things going on big in Norfolk. And when you look at Keyshawn Davis, you know what I'm saying? I really like to take my hat off to the young man, just having this maturity. And when you see the things that he's doing for his hometown, trying to bring that attention and awareness to the city, and then in the community, putting boxing on the map, man, that can really revolutionize things up in that area. You know what I mean? Businesses and you know what I mean, sponsors and everything, the whole city can really, band together and support their own DB3, the Davis brothers, man, who I believe is going to be around for a long time doing big things in boxing. So, there you have it, man. We're going to have a couple more breakdowns. I'm kind of out there. I'm all the way in July right now with the Shakur Stevenson fight and Zepeda. I got that out there on Tarver's tape. Also did the Richardson Hitchens fight and George Camboza's fight, man. That's coming up June 14th. So, we got a lot of these big fights and they announce them so soon. I like to do my breakdowns maybe about a week before the fight and then give you the recap. But when they put these fights out and they just sitting out there, I'm inclined to just go ahead and do the breakdown. You know what I mean? Still coming, man. I got the Manny Pacquiao and Mario Barrios. That'll be coming up, later on down the road, because that's all the way July 19th. You know what I mean? So we're going to be just, these fights are just going to be sitting here. You know what I mean? And once you break them down, there's so many other things you can input, So that's probably what I'll do. Do them early and then break them down as we get closer to the fight. But you can anticipate Manny Pacquiao, Mario Barrios, the Tim Tszyu, Sebastian Fundora. I got Alexander Usyk with Daniel DeBose. All of those are coming up on Tarver's Tape. So you want to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the most informative take in boxing. Just remember where you heard it first. Until the next time, guys, I'll talk to you then. Stay tapped in.